Why are they shocked? That is how they govern their states. That is how Nigeria is governed. No accountability, no transparency. They don't care about what the citizens are saying. What they care about is what suits them, what benefits them and their families or their cronies. That is exactly how the country is run. Tell me, how can a state governor receive federal allocation, statutory allocation, and move a portion of it to a campaign funding account? Tell me, what is the connection between the governor and the Renew Hope ambassador? What is the connection between that Renew Hope ambassador and the funding for a state? There is no connection. So the governors already are doing what is illegal by moving state funds into that account. It is the money meant to provide hospitals, to provide schools, to provide roads, pipeline water, and so on and so forth. That is what they are moving into that account, to the point that they have raised about 800 billion, close to 1 trillion naira. So a president that have access to 1 trillion to prosecute election, are they playing now in a fair playing field? Obviously not. Any person, whether president or governor or whoever, who has served one term and is doing campaign for the election, and that person is not using the things he has achieved in the first 4 years, that person is a failure. Hello my people, welcome to my channel. This is Andy Media TV. 2 days ago, we saw on the news, the allegation, that came out from the report from the Wales, publication, stating that the Progressive Governors Forum, were kind of moving some funds from their FAAC allocation, to the New Hope ambassador's account, which is expected to be used for, political campaigns and all of that. So this report that came out was a shocker, to the Nigerian public. But for someone like me, it wasn't like a shocker to me, because it's something that happens on every, election cycle. This is because if you recall, in 2014, 2015, during the electioneering campaign when President Bola Jonathan was in power at that time, you recall that till today, there's an analysis in Madeka is still, going through a lot of, court trials in terms of her role on during the electioneering campaign. It was alleged that she moved some funds from NNPC, because she was the Minister of Petroleum at that time. So there was all this allegation that money from NNPC were moved, that's what PDP used, in terms of preparing and, pursuing the election at that time. Don't forget the Dasuki Gate. Don't forget a lot of, scandal that came up at that time. These are funds moved from government coffers to pursue election. So it's not like it's new. It's something that these guys have been doing over the years, from an election cycle, from one party to another. So, but in this case now, it came out as a shocker to people, because you recall the president talking about they have caught corruption, they have done this, they have done that, and you can see the result. So according to this report, there's a whole lot of issues that is surrounding this whole matter, and that is what we are going to look into in this video. So you just stay with me on this video, so that we'll be able to understand a lot of things that happens in this kind of political season, and how government officials, especially those who are going for the election and all of that, how they utilize government resources for their own personal ambition, which is contrary to financial rules and regulations governing the country. So that is what we are going to look into, how and what happened with the FAAC allocation that comes from these respective governors to the Renew Hope ambassador's account and all of that. So stick with me on this video, and we're going to look into that critically, so that we can unveil a lot of things surrounding this whole matter. But before I go into all of that, if you are new to my channel, kindly like and share this video, and also subscribe to my channel and put on your notification bell, so that when my next video drop, you will be among those that will be notified, so that you will get these videos as it is hot. Oh, okay. Having said all of that, before we now dissect the issues, I think it will be more better, that I play you, this video, so that you will listen to, what the way Arise News has, packaged this information, and we will come back to analyze what has been said in this video. Don't go away.
You know that drama with the APC Governors Forum we've been watching? Turns out it wasn't just about egos. It was about huge campaign funds and control. Well, according to the Will Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had to personally step in to settle a massive rift over the campaign funds allegedly raised by APC governors for his 2027 re-election campaign. And at the center of it all is IMO State Governor Hope Uzodinma, the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum. Here's what allegedly happened. Well, according to the will, governors were making monthly deductions from their FAAC allocations into an account controlled by Uzodinma. The money was supposed to promote government policies at the grassroots ahead of 2027, initially under something called Renewed Hope Ambassadors. Then they created a separate structure, Renewed Hope Network, specifically for the re-election campaign. The funds were supposed to be transferred there, but Hope Uzodinma reportedly became evasive about rendering accounts. When pressed, he claimed the funds had to be expended, no breakdown, no receipts, just the monies being spent. Well, less than 24 hours after some governors allegedly tried to remove Hope Uzodinma as chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum, 18 governors gathered in Abuja on Friday to pass a vote of confidence in him.
But the fact of the matter is that the APC Progressive Governors Forum is very united. We're stronger now than any other time. And of course, we are all supporting our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, what he has been doing. We also want to assure everyone that APC is united, governors are united.
All right. Well, the will is also reporting that substantial funds have been recovered from Hope Uzodinma. His rendered accounts, processes are in place to retrieve the remaining funds, and that the rift has been settled. Again, this is a report by the will. All of these are still allegations at this point. But of course, it is, one of the biggest stories over the weekend, because like you said, it has now shown that there might be some sort of fragmentation within the APC.
All right, welcome back. So you heard what, was said in this video and how, the whole process, took place. But let's look into the fact of this matter. According to the, Will's, publication, the information that they put out there was that when this so-called Progressive Governors Forum people, it comprises of mostly the APC governors, as you may know, they control about, 30 or 31 governors right now as we speak. So when these governors collect their FAAC allocation, which is done every month, it hits the state account. So when it hits the state account, it's kind of obvious that these state governors probably already have a standing order in terms of when the money hits the account, they mandate the bank to move a certain amount of money from that allocation to the Renewed Hope Ambassadors account. Who are these Renewed Hope Ambassadors? The Renewed Hope Ambassadors was created by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a kind of campaign arm, that will help him, secure his second term for 2027. Now, this Renewed Hope Ambassador is being headed by Governor Hope Uzodinma, the IMO State Governor. He was appointed to head, the Renewed Hope Ambassadors. And now, being in charge of that, I recall they created, other leaders in terms of the zonal leaders who takes care of the states within their zones and down the line. So the idea from the president was to set up these Renewed Hope Ambassadors so that there will be the hub that will coordinate his campaign in terms of providing the necessary materials like what the government have done, doing documentary, doing, all those kind of information that they need to do their campaign. So this is expected of the Renewed Hope Ambassadors. But what they are doing today, is it what it is? And don't forget that from the Renewed Hope Ambassadors, the City Boy movement also came on board, all in the name of trying to help the president to secure the second term. Having said that, the question still remains, why is the state governors moving part of their state funds to the Renewed Hope Ambassadors account? That is the big question. Because the funds received from FAAC is meant to take care of the states, to provide infrastructure for the state, to pay salaries and pensions and gratuities and all of that to their workers, and to take care of the state. It's not money meant for campaign. So why are they moving state funds into the Renewed Hope Ambassadors account? And for what purpose exactly? That is the big question. So, but as history has made it to be, since 1999 that democracy, came on board in Nigeria, you recall that every government, no matter the party they belong, this is what they do every 4 years. And in my previous videos, I keep shouting that These guys have forgotten about leadership, about governance. What they are focused on now is about what? How to return back in 2027. That is the permutation that is going on right now. So they don't care about fixing road. They don't care about power. They don't care about bringing people out of poverty. They don't care about all of that. What they care about now is who goes to which position, who secures which state, who secures which votes. That is what they care about. So all the money meant for CapEx, that is capital expenditure, have now been moved into politics, obviously, because according to the report, the amount of money government is now expending for capital expenditure has dropped significantly, which means they are no more paying attention to the critical infrastructural needs of the people. The attention has been moved to politics. Remember, election for president starts in January 2027, which is just barely how many months from now, less than a year from now. So that is what they are preparing, gathering all these state funds and putting it into that pool for them to be able to use it to campaign for the president. Don't forget, most of these governors, they come from the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, to join the APC in the name of securing their second term. Because most of them are first-time governors who want to do, re-election. So having done all of that, this venture is kind of trying to, impress the president, trying to raise funding to support presidential ambition, because they know if they do what pleases the president will also support them or help them to be able to secure, their second tenure as governors in their respective states. But for me, what I'm looking at in this whole thing is beyond the political campaign thing, is beyond all of that. This is because their issues came up. There was disunity among themselves, the Progressive Governors Forum. There was acrimony, there was chaos between them, among them rather, because the money they are pulling into this Renewed Hope, ambassadors' account suddenly started growing wings to disappear. So in their meeting, they called for, the governor of IMO State, who is spearheading the Renewed Hope ambassadors, to give account of what happened to the resources they are pulling into their account. What did they use it for? But the governor was unable to provide a reasonable response in terms of what they have used the money for, in terms of what they have funded with that money. That is where the fracas began. So based on all these things, many governors were like, losing interest in this whole thing, seeing, lack of transparency, lack of accountability, and all of that. Why are they shocked? That is how they govern their states. That is how Nigeria is governed. No accountability, no transparency. They don't care about what the citizens are saying. What they care about is what suits them, what benefits them and their families or their cronies. That is exactly how the country is run. Tell me, how can a state governor receive federal allocation, statutory allocation, and move a portion of it to a campaign funding account? Tell me, what is the connection between the governor and the Renewed Hope ambassador? What is the connection between that Renewed Hope ambassador and the funding for a state? There is no connection. So the governors already are doing what is illegal by moving state funds into that account. If it is their personal resources they are moving to the account, I don't have a problem with that. But I have a problem with it because it is the money meant to provide hospital, to provide schools, to provide roads, pipe-borne water, and so on and so forth. That is what they are moving into that account, to the point that they have raised about 800 billion, close to $1 trillion. So a president that have access to 1 trillion to prosecute election, are they playing now in a fair playing field? Obviously not. So which other candidate will be able to raise such an amount? None, of course. And don't forget, this is just one source from these progressive governors, 800 billion. Now imagine other sources, private individuals. Imagine the one president himself is putting together. Imagine the ones the people is giving contract for coastal highway and the rest of them we pull for him. Imagine, just think about it. So which means by the end of the day, the president may have access to more than 2 trillion or more. It's possible because this is just the beginning. We still have about 8 months or that about to the general election. More money is going to come in from many sources. So, but the problem here is this. When you look at how this process, took place, you will see, I am already seeing, a kind of, laundering operation, money laundering operation in this whole thing. And I will explain why I'm thinking in that direction. According to the report I read, they said that this money leaves from FAAC, that is first point, to the state coffers. The moment the money hits the state coffers, these governors we move a certain amount of money or percentage of it to the renewed hope account. Are you seeing the movement from federal government to, that's FAAC, to state government? From state government, it moves to the renewed hope ambassadors. As this money was piling up, the Imo State governor now think that this money is getting too much. We need to, do something, probably. And they now created Renewed Hope Network. Are you seeing that? What President established was Renewed Hope Ambassadors, which Hope Uzodinma was heading. And now Hope Uzodinma has already created another platform called Renewed Hope Network. So as the money is from FAAC to state account, from state account to Renewed Hope Ambassadors account, from the Renewed Hope Ambassador account, the money moved to Renewed Hope Network account. That is layered. As the money hits state government account, state government moves it to Renewed Hope Ambassadors account placement. From there, it has moved to Renewed Hope Network. Layering has started. Before you know it, they may create Tinubu's campaign committee. It moves to that account. Before you know it, they will create election campaign, whatever. You move to that account. So this is how this money will move. Before you know what is happening, the money will disappear. And when the EFCC will trace, they will trace and they will get tired in between the lines. So question, why do Hope Uzodinma not have template of what the monies are expended on? Why can't they account for it? Because that is how they govern their states. There's no state governor that can give account of any allocation they receive from the federal government. And the funny part of it is that when the citizens rise up to begin to demand for accountability, what happens? They arrest them, they use police to intimidate them, they dump them in prison, and with endless court battles to detain that person, just as a deterrent so that other people will not come out to speak on what they are doing. I've not seen any democracy where people cannot speak their mind, where people cannot speak against policies that is not favorable to them and all of that. That is the essence of democracy, freedom of speech. But in our climate, they will say freedom of speech is guaranteed, but freedom after speech is not guaranteed. That is the case of the guy they call Justice Crack, who on his own received a tip off from, the military, trying to pull out, the kind of food that they are fed. And the guy, acting like a whistleblower, brought it up on social media, spoke about it. What happened? Was kidnapped. For 3 days, nobody knows where he is until voices were amplified and the army now, begin to speak. They are the one that's holding him. And they detained him illegally for 3 days or more, and then now moved him to DSS and all of that. He's still waiting for his day in court. They begin to charge him for all kinds of, offense. For doing what? He's just a whistleblower. Nigeria has a law protecting whistleblowers. I recall those days when people that are into corruption, you can blow the whistle to EFCC, they find information, there's a percentage they will give you from the funds to recover. So that guy is just like a whistleblower. And then what happened? He was picked up. So that is that democracy. Just anyway, I will talk about him in another different video. When you look at what I'm trying to portray here, you will see the movement of the funds. The luck the governors had was that they started early to ask questions. If they had waited till the election period, they will not see this money again. The money must have been layered into different, accounts and disappear. But they started early to ask questions because the money just moved into 2 layers. The New Hope Ambassadors, 1 layer, to the New Hope Network. That is 2nd layer. So that's how they will lay the money and it disappears. And nobody will account for 800 billion. Now you can see a lot of things they are doing, buying buses, sharing money in envelope. I saw the video of they are sharing money in envelope to people. You would bring your voter's card before you collect something. They buy rice. Which state was that? They bought a load of rice and all of that. Nigerians don't need that. They don't need it. What they want is a government that is responsive to their need. A government that will tackle the problem that they have, a security problem and all of that. Now, I was reading the President of America, President Trump, his tweet talking about how they, took out the one of the leaders of, the ISIS that is, in Nigeria. I saw the video of the bombing, the bomb where they were and all of that. So this is the same guy Nigerian Army claimed they killed in 2024 or thereabout. That's the same guy. So, but they work in collaboration with Nigerian government. So you see, it's not taking a foreign country to begin to help us to tackle the security. The question is, all those resources, the 800 billion we are talking about, all those buses buying rice, sewing machine in the name of City Boy movement and all of that. Imagine if they pull those resources together and begin to tackle our primary healthcare centers to the point that when you come out of your house in the village, you can walk to a primary healthcare center and a qualified nurse, a skilled nurse or doctor or midwife will attend to you depending on your condition. If you're pregnant or you have normal sicknesses, people will be the one asking for Tinubu to come back in 2027. But thinking that you just kind of buy rice, you can just kind of share money in the envelope and all is well. That's ridiculous. People are going through pains. People are going through difficulties, through hardship. It's not about sharing rice. The money you have put in the envelope, we are sharing it to people. How many days will that money last for them with the high cost of food in the country? So it's not the way to go. The way to go is to do or render services that addresses the needs of the people. Insecurity have been a menace in the country. Move this money to taking care of our soldiers, feed them well, pay them good welfare, because they are putting their lives on the line. We have lost so many generals. We have lost colonels. We have lost other foot soldiers. What happened to their family? How were they taken care of? These are the questions that we should be asking ourselves. So the fact remains that any person, whether president or governor or whoever, who has served one term and is doing campaign for the election, and that person is not using the things he has achieved in the first 4 years, that person is a failure. Write it down. That person is a failure. When President Trump was coming in for this current position he is as the President of the United States, what did he do? He was referring Americans back to the period when he came for his first term. That he stabilized the economy, that he protected the border, and all of that. These are the things he was reading out in every campaign that he went to. And people who were in the country were like, yes, economy was better then. Gas was stable. Inflation was down. This was happening. Border was closed, and so on. And there was peace and there was security. That is why they overwhelmingly voted for him for this second term. That is how somebody who delivered the result campaigns. But if you have done first term and you are running campaign for a second term, and what you can do is to share rice, to share money, and all of that, then you're a failure, a total failure. Because you're supposed to market yourself based on your achievement in that first term. That's the way it works globally. So when you now impoverish the people to the point that Nigeria has about 140 million people living in multidimensional poverty, you now weaponize that poverty to make them to vote for you. That's ridiculous. That's wickedness. That's wickedness, which means you are intentionally making people poor. And even at their poor state, you are still creating new tax law. You are still creating all kinds of windows to still take from them. That's wickedness. I've seen some people debunking it, saying all kinds of stuff that the money is not for campaign, that they're going to have Tinubu campaign organization and what have you. Okay, so what exactly is the Renewed Hope Ambassador for? Let's understand ourselves. And why should money be leaving state coffers to go to them? They are not government arm. It's an independent personal arm created by the president for himself, not for the country, for himself. So he has no linkage, no connection. There's no nexus between the New Hope Ambassador or the New Hope Network to the government. They only have link to Tinubu. So Tinubu should have been the one contributing whatever money they need. That's the way it works. So you can't use state funds to be servicing a campaign arm of an incumbent president. That is criminal. So this is where EFCC comes in. By now, I was expecting, that the EFCC by now should be speaking to those people working with the governor, moving those monies, because I understand that the governor has immunity. They can't pick up the governor now, but they can do their investigation and start picking up people around him who are, working with him in terms of this the New Home Network and the New Hope Ambassador thing and the movement of these funds. Then all those governors who call themselves progressive instead of corrupt governors forum, they are calling themselves progressive. What is progressive about them? The fund meant for your state, and you are putting it in a campaign arm for one man, and you call yourself progressive. There's nothing progressive about them. What they are doing is corruption personified. Because no state government gives account. I think it's time they amend constitution and make all state government to be producing audited reports, so that we see the statement, We see how money comes in, how it goes, and all of that. I think it's beginning to be apparent because they serve the public. So whatever they are doing should be public, should be made public. I can't see a reason why a governor will be receiving 5 billion every month, for example. He cannot give account of what happened to the 5 billion. Next month he collects another one. Who does that? There's no businessman that don't sit down and check his book to know where the monies are going, where he's making errors and be able to correct them. It's only in government. Because the money they are spending is not their own. It's not their own. So when you look at the whole thing that's happening, you understand that these people, they don't care. What they care now is about 2027. I was seeing one report saying that about 25, both current governors and ex-governors who are trying to return to Senate. What is happening? You have served for governor 8 years. You still want to go to Senate to go and do what? When you were even governor, you did not even achieve anything. So what are you going to the Senate to do? Because this is where governors retire. Continue their corrupt, lifestyle in the Senate. You can see the way we even have Senate. So all these monies now they are moving. You can see the president about to borrow another $1.2 billion from one bank. So it was laughable. I saw Nigerians, going to X handle of World Bank, telling them not to, borrow the country any further loan. This government is busy borrowing and borrowing and borrowing, and nobody is seeing exactly where these funds are going to. Before you know it, the Minister of Works will come out and tell you, oh, this particular road is ongoing, this one is ongoing, and that's it. A whole government that is releasing 36 million naira to a whole Minister of Health. 36 million. To a whole Minister of Health. What are they going to do with that 6 million for the health sector as a whole? But they have 800 billion stuck in one account, being expended recklessly for campaign activities. Think about it. Is it a government that really wants to bring any reasonable thing to the country? That's why at times I'm worried when I see people that are still talking about APC supporting this administration and all of that. But I understand why. This is because they know that being the incumbent, having access to the country's treasury, that a lot of money will be coming out from them during the campaign. So everybody is waiting to grab what they can grab. They don't care what is going on. They don't care about the future. That is why many people are still there supporting the party, following them, because they are still drawing some crumbs from those in government. It is what it is. And that is why even many people who are pushing Atiku now, supporting Atiku. What are they supporting Atiku for? They know that Atiku will vomit money. Once he gets a ticket, money will start rolling out. And who will benefit is them who are close to him, speaking on TV and all of that. So people don't care about the country. People care about what they get at that particular time. That is why they are attacking Peter Obi anyhow, because he's the person that genuinely cares for this country. We can see it in his personal lifestyle. Going to schools, going to hospitals, going to different communities, donating his personal money, not state money, personal money. 5 million here, 30 million there, this one there. His personal money. That was his lifestyle. That's why many people are kind of shouting, Peter Obi, Peter Obi, Peter Obi. People are confused. Why is everybody shouting Peter Obi? This is the only person who can manage the resources and use it for the good of the citizens. He did it in Anambra, but they are fighting him. They don't want him to be in the ballot. He left the party. They are attacking him everywhere he goes, speaking evil about him and all of that. That is the climb. The country we are in is where people that does what is right are heavily criticized and condemned, while people who are doing the wrong thing are hailed and promoted. That's exactly this culture that we are seeing today, and that is unfortunate. So EFCC, you have work to do. ICPC, that is still holding RHA, you have work to do. These are government officials who are cornering government resources meant for the people, moving it into campaign fund account. This is where your work comes in. Investigate all these governors who are involved with this whole thing and keep their file. The moment they finish their tenure, please grab them. Let them come and explain which law mandates them, which financial regulation mandates them to move money from state coffers to campaign funds. That's the same case Yahya Bello is going through in the court for moving state funds to bureau de change, to change money to pay the children's school fees. This is a similar situation, but his case was for his children's school fees, but this case was campaign fund for the president. What did you hear? Oh, that the president has settled them, or unity has returned. Is that what it should be? People broke the law, and you are saying the president has settled them. No, you broke the law, you face the consequences. That's how things work. So all this system of, oh, the president has settled for them, that peace has returned and all of that, is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. The EFCC, the ICPC, you guys should do your job now. That is the way to go. We can't continue like this. During Jonathan's period, the same thing happened. 2.2 billion arms money was expended lavishly. No arms was bought. The money was used for paying people to go to Mecca and to pilgrimage to go and pray for Jonathan to win. Did he win? Other people around him were giving billions of naira. None of them campaigned for him. They used the money for themselves. That's how Jonathan lost. So this is what you see on every election cycle. That's why I'm of the opinion that the constitution be amended. Make it 1/10 of 5 years. You do 5 years, you go home. That's what it is. It will reduce all these criminalities we are seeing today. People don't work because they hope for the next step. A president that can't do any jack in 4 years, what will he do in 8 years? That is the big question. What is the big question? So I don't know what's going on. But the fact remains that what came out of that report from the Whale publication is not good. Imagine these same governors who are moving this money to that account. They too, who are coming for second tenure, will also be moving another portion to their own account to run their own campaign. So you can see, so when they now move the one for president, they move their own, what remains to take care of the state? Nothing. And that's why they are doing nothing. That's why they are not achieving anything. So, again, the president said that the state governors are receiving more money now that they have removed subsidy and all of that. And I've made my own argument. They are receiving more money in numbers, but in value, they are receiving less money as well because of inflation, because of devaluation, and high cost of living. The road they used to do, let's say 1 million naira per kilometer. Today, that's 1 kilometer may cost them 10 million to do 1 kilometer. So even if they receive more money in numbers, what they can do with that more money is limited because the money has no more value compared to what it was in 2015 before they took over. So these are part of the argument in this whole thing. But having said that, that does not negate the reasoning behind that. He who receives more money is expected to do more. That is the point. So when they have this so much money, the burden transferred to the citizens. But these bourgeois who are in charge of these states and all of that are enjoying the wealth, living lavishly, traveling everywhere, doing whatever they want to do for themselves. And they don't care about the citizens. This is the painful aspect. And it cannot be allowed to stand. That is my position in this whole thing. So guys, I don't know what you think about this whole thing, but the fact remains the same. It's against financial regulation to move state fund for personal campaign of the president. There's no financial regulation that supports that. State funds is meant for state use, meant for the development of the state, not for campaign. And in fact, every individual in any government position who is contesting for any position is expected to raise his own personal campaign fund, not using state funds for his own campaign. We need to distinguish these two things. So that is my position. So whatever you think concerning this whole issue, please kindly drop it at the comment section. Let us hear your view. Do you think what they are doing is the right thing? Do you think that a president who has been in the position for 3 years, getting to 4 years now, who cannot campaign by virtue of what he has done, but depending on sharing money, depending on giving buses and all of these things to people just to incentivize them to vote for him, do you think that person is really the kind of person that is supposed to return back for another 4 years? I don't know what you think, but for me, I don't think it's the right decision to make. Because if you can't do anything in 4 years that is meaningful to help the citizens, you can't do it in the next 4 years when you don't even need the citizens' vote at all. Because many people work in their first year so that they will be able to buy citizens' mind to support them in their next 4 years. But in this case, the reverse is the case. So guys, put your comment down in the comment section and we'll continue to talk and debate about this whole thing, hoping that one day they will hear us. One day, God will intervene. One day, citizens will wake up and take back their country. That is what it is. So I'm going to leave it here. But before I leave, if you are new to my channel, please kindly like and share this video. And also subscribe to my channel and put on your notification bell so that when my next video drop, you'll be among those that will be notified. I'll be calling it a day from here. I will see you in my next video. Do have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. I'm signing out. See you.